I have the place to myself.
Fair enough.
Ooh la la. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, and your dog, and your dog's fleas, and your fleas, tiny parasites.
Amoebas.
Welcome to another episode. The amoebas. Jake, Johnny, Sambo, and the amoebas.
Grease reference there. If anyone that got it.
I'm old Gandalf. Welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat, Cats, part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. I don't know what episode we're up to, Chaps, but it feels like a lot. It feels like 300 plus episodes of Chaps stuff. And we are, yes, we are happy to be in your ear holes tonight.
Oh, bro,
today,
you catch the game last night?
the morning. Glad to be here. On this episode tonight, we have a lot to get to. The AFL women, Trounce, the Tigers in round 5. The season is looking very much back on track for now. The AFL men are preparing to take on the Hawks. We know who our prelim final opponent in 2025 is now, chaps. So we'll preview that at the end of the public part of the show. And then we'll hop over and do an extra half hour on Patreon. We'll look ahead to round 6 of the AFLW season. The Cats taking on the Power, who just knocked off the previously undefeated Melbourne Demons. So a game that we sort of had earmarked as another one that we should rack that up. The Power now, there's sort of a bit less of a known commodity. They've had an up and down season too, and they've just beaten Melbourne, who had not lost. So we'll give some early preview thoughts on that over on Patreon. So if you want that part of the show, please go on over, subscribe on the Hoops Crew Patreon. You can start a 7-day free trial right now. All right, before we get into the public show, we have to talk about the people who make the public show possible. And that is Cyril Cook Florist, our glorious media network sponsor. You can visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. Phone them up 035 222 2244 or visit them shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Remember, when you're going onto that website and you're making your order, pop Go Cats in the voucher field at checkout. They will knock 20% off your next purchase simply because you're good buddies with us. Go Cats in the voucher field, 20% off at checkout. Cyril Cook Florist. What an absolute bunch of legends. We ready to get into it, chaps? We're ready to get into the stuff?
Let's do
That's
it.
why we're here.
Because, as we know, John, we're not here to,
Fornicate the
let's start.
arachnids.
Exactly. We're not here to fornicate with arachnids. We start, of course, with the AFLW recap, and much cause for optimism here. After finally opening their 2025 account last week with a complete road win against Essendon, the Cats look to make it back-to-back victories as they travelled to take on the Tigers at the Swinburne Centre. Geelong were the dominant team throughout the first half. Once again, that's been a pattern, folks. And by the main break, that was very Trumpian. It's been a pattern, people are saying. The Tigers worked their way back into the contest for pride's sake after Geelong led at halftime 4-7-31 to 3 behinds. The Tigers kicked 4 goals, 2-26 to Geelong's 4-4-28 across the third and fourth quarters. But Geelong, they were the better team in almost every conceivable facet of the game when the outcome was in doubt. Georgie Prasparkas racked up 31 disposals, 6 tackles and 6 clearances and continued to extract the urine from the competition. She was a marauding force of nature all over the ground. Michaela Bowen amassed 28 touches, 6 tackles, chipped in with a couple of goal assists. Jackie Parry Julia Crockett-Grills. They each kicked 2 goals, and there were support act performances from Nina Morrison, Aisling Maloney, Kate Kenny, Emma Kilpatrick, and others as the Cats put together their best team performance of the season. From an 0-3 hole, the Cats have put themselves back in things. 2-3 now after 5 games. They win this one 8-11, 59-4, 5-29 in Tigerland. Sambo, we've talked a lot about Geelong's use of the ball by foot in the opening month of the season and what we've liked and what we haven't liked. On the weekend, though, it was what they did by hand that stood out.
Yeah, I think we've kind of focused, and I specifically have focused on the old kicking because of what I felt like was a real anemic kind of handball game that was going on. Like I really felt like we were handballing in a really desperate sort of negative way. It never felt like plan A. So I think I maybe became over focused on switching to kicking, but I think they had on like glorious display exactly what they've been trying to do this whole time. This sort of, I think they've cracked the nut. I think the win last week's given them a little bit more belief. They've had a few more games under their belt to sort of really get their sort of team dynamics worked out, their support for each other, and I suppose like playing under pressure as well. It's one of those things that we all know and gets talked about a lot. You know, you can simulate matches and you can train and practice all you want, but sometimes when it comes to that first week or two of the season, just like when it comes to the first week or two of finals, you really find out where you've been letting yourselves down. And yeah, I just thought the way we moved it by hand was it just absolutely night and day compared to how we had maybe in the first through 2 to 3 weeks. Those inch perfect hand passes, like as the tackle was laid, and you could tell their support was there and their belief in each other, because it was those handballs that are coming without looking, not in a tricky over the head kind of sense, but I've got to put it into this spot, assuming someone's going to be there. We were up on disposals overall. Our season average for disposals is 268, and we're at 304. But only 2 extra kicks on our season average, whereas handballs we were up 30, essentially 34 handballs on our season average. And it wasn't, it wasn't from it didn't feel like it was from a high pressure, we were just trying to get it out of trouble kind of way. And I thought it's something that we've seen happen to the men's this year, is this handball game that cuts people apart, and we just can't land those tackles in time. It was really nice to see a Geelong Cats team do it to somebody else, and I thought it just absolutely left Richmond in disarray. Sometimes you could see their formation just get pulled and dragged completely out of position, and these giant holes open up and allow us to sort of spring forward. And off the back of that, we racked up 188 uncontested possessions up on our 151 season average. So yeah, I mean, there was lots of ways we won the game, but I thought the first and foremost was that handball game, the ability to hit up each other instinctively with almost no warning whatsoever. And I guess conversely, the ability to actually grab it too. Like I think we've seen both sort of let us down. The handballs have not been to the opportune spot, and we've taken 2 or 3 grabs to pick it up. It was like we had super glue on our fingers. I thought the way they were able to grab it and keep that motion going.
I'd love to know, just looking at a couple of these players who had big midfield numbers. Prasparkas, 31 touches, 20 of those were handballs. Michaela Bowen, 28 touches, 15 were by hand. Nina Morrison, 22 disposals, 13 by hand. Amy McDonald, 20 touches, 12 by hand. Like those 4 players, and particularly Bowen, I'd love to know, if you look back at their careers, what's their split like normally? Because I feel like Bowen is a player we often talk, not that she never uses the ball by hand, but we often talk about her kicking. Nina Morrison is a player we often talk about her using the ball by foot. But you're right, we did carve them up in a way that was really satisfying. Johnny, I'll bring you in here because I think that the 2 points that you and Sambo were looking at sort of dovetail nicely, because something we bemoaned in the first 3 weeks was a lack of damaging movement from the team, especially, from my perspective, was when we were trying to transition the ball from defense into attack. We ended up with a lot of stagnancy and getting ourselves into trouble. But you sort of thought you saw a difference here for the Cats, Johnny, this week in terms of their movement.
Yeah, definitely just piggybacks on Sam's point about the handballs where, those handballs were so clean and efficient, but it also was able to open up that transition from defence to forward line. And I thought the way the Cats just used their feet and their hands to get themselves out of trouble while keeping that ball moving forward at all costs was just sensational this week. I think it's probably the best we've seen it all year, and it also relates to what you're saying about the team game in your opening spiels. Like, it was a complete team performance with one player shining the brightest out of everyone on the park by a long way. But yeah, I just thought some of those movements, those transitions from defence with the hard ball gets from Amy McDonald and Nina Morrison and Rachel Kearns and Claudia Gunjaka just to get it out there, and then quick handballs to the outside, and then players were just streaming forward. And as Sam said, like, those handballs were getting the Tigers confused. And as soon as that happened and we got out, there was just these players running to open paddock in the forward line and in the centre, and just made the movement so easy, so clean, so crisp. And it was just a joy to watch. It was probably one of those games that it's like, wow, this is what we've been expecting. This is what we've been waiting for from this team for the last 2-3 years. And to see it really starting to shine, this movement, the handballs, the kicking, getting everyone involved, everyone playing their roles. I just thought that really stood out to me, how just clean and efficient and effective they were. It's a shame it just didn't translate perfectly on the scoreboard. It could have been a lot more like last week. But the fact that every other aspect of the game, the movement, is really starting to come together, means those scores are getting much easier. We're getting easier looks, better looks. And yeah, that's why not talk about it, because it was just beautiful to watch. It was what makes that movement makes what AFL so enjoyable to watch, when you see a team just move from one end to the other so easily.
Yeah, and we were cleaner. I think, that makes a big difference. I thought just in general, like, cleaner, more confident. And I suppose you and Sambo have both touched about that. There were a lot of disposals to space, I guess, to draw a player. Like, the handball gets slung out to the side, and then before it hits the deck, a player's there to get it. They're not waiting for the player to occupy the space. They're putting it to the space where the player will be. Like, I just thought there was so much more of that trust in each other, and it feels like it flows on from there. If you can trust your teammates, which they did. And on that part, I guess too, I thought it was a case of new players beginning to show their strengths as well. Like, we talked last week, and it's been an interesting one, because we went in with a certain set of expectations, or I did anyway, Chaps, and I think you were the same, about what we thought this team could be and what we thought this team could do. And through 3 weeks, you go no wins, 3 losses. You start asking questions. Do we have the depth? Are we lacking in terms of our depth of talent and that sort of thing? They make the change to bring in more inexperience, really, in terms of games played in Cats uniforms, particularly by dropping Meg McDonald. But I thought this weekend, the selection stuff really, really proved out. And I thought there was some of those fringe and new players who were starting to show, like, why they were drafted, why they have been the players selected. Emma Kilpatrick and Caitlin Thorne going bombs away for marauding long-distance goals. I thought, in particular, Emma Kilpatrick was very close to getting into my votes. The confidence with which she took the game on from the back 50 was really encouraging. I loved Lexi Gregor's tackle on, I can't remember what her name was, for the Tigers. It was Paige Scott. Paige Scott tries to give her the Dustin Martin don't argue, and Lexi Gregor said, no, I will argue, and sort of mowed her down for a holding the ball decision. I thought Kate Kenny's goal, her strength of body and her use of the footy is unbelievable. You know, for a player that's probably played, a dozen games, if that. And Sienna Tallaridi looked calm down back, I thought, outside of one turnover kick late that led to a Tigers goal. I think Sienna Tallaridi looked really good. And Piper Dunlop, I thought she's not a complete player, but she does show a little bit in the ruck each week, and I thought she did again. So I guess that was one of my big takeaways was you've got those big players at the top, you know, the big name players, your Prasparkas, Morrison, Aisling Maloney, all the known name brand quantities. But the last couple of weeks, I feel like the bottom third of the list has grown in a lot of confidence. They've had games pumped into them early this season, and now we're starting to maybe see a little bit of the benefits being reaped. I don't know if that matched up with what you guys saw, but I thought there was some really promising stuff from Geelong's newbies.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I thought it was a
great
full team performance, as you guys have said.
It was good to see Kilpatrick kick her first goal. I feel like she's been threatening to do something special the last few weeks, and I feel like she's had a lot of blunders, just like kicks just going out of bounds on the full or just missing his kicking here and there. But I'm glad they continued on with it, because that goal on the run from the pass from Aisling Maloney was a really sensational goal. So yeah, and that tackle by Gregor was joy to watch. So yeah, I think, and Sienna, I think all three are really putting a good foot forward and showing what the talent pathways are starting to look like, because I think these three players are sort of where the first few seasons are about now. Like those older players that first started playing in the first few seasons, you can see that these new players coming in that's starting at such a higher skill level, which is awesome to see that it's really starting to take effect, that these players can come in and have almost immediate effect and look comfortable out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that goal was so impressive too from Kilpatrick, because one, you mentioned it, the switch kick from Aisling Maloney was absolute blinder of a kick, the vision and then the execution. But it also capped off Geelong's work, because before that we'd had Jackie Parry kicker behind, Maloney kicker behind, Jackie Parry kicker behind. So we've had all this dominance, and yet we're only 3-1 up. And then for Kilpatrick to coast through and nail that goal, I thought it was just such... it really did finish off the good work. Like if we'd gone to quarter time, maybe with only 5 or 6 behinds in our pocket instead of the goal, I thought it could have been a real knock on our confidence potentially. So for a defender and a young player to coast through and kick that goal. And from there, I just thought a lot of players backed themselves justifiably. The Caitlin Thorne goal was an absolute ripper as well. But yeah, I don't know. Kate Kenny's just becoming, and she's not in my votes, but Kate Kenny's becoming like such a favourite for me with the way she plays the game. I think I've said it every week. I think she can be one of our true AFLW freaks that I used to talk about. The Crows have all these freaks. They've got these Anne Hatchard types who can, not only play off ball, but on ball. She can go in the ruck. Anne Hatchard, she's just a freak. I think Kate Kenny has the athleticism and the skill to apply something similar for us. Maybe not quite at the level of Anne Hatchard. Who knows? Like Hatchard is a pretty exceptional player. But little note here, chaps. I'll just throw this out to you. So I've since last week we noticed some interesting stuff in terms of time on ground. Georgie Prasparkas, she's playing 91% game time in 2025. And prior to this season, she was averaging 84%. So she's up 7% time on ground. Michaela Bowen is playing 96% game time this year. And in her career prior to this season, she was averaging 79% time on ground. So she's up 17% on her career average. Becky Webster She's averaging 81% time on ground. That's in the first 7 years of her career. This year, she's at 92.2%, so up 11%. Julia Crockett-Grills averaged 72% across her 7 seasons in the AFLW. This season, she's up to 84.6, so 12.6% up. My conclusion here is that it feels like they're acknowledging maybe a depth issue and they are trying to keep some of their experienced and talented players on the park more. Prasparkas resting forward being one. What did you guys make of this? Because I thought it stood out a lot that we're just seeing more of Geelong's best players. And I have a feeling Nina Morrison probably would have played a larger amount of game time again, had she not been injured or picked up that tweak. So do you guys have any takeaways around this?
I think it's just we've realised we've got some incredibly talented players on our list. So why not keep them out there as long as possible? I think it's just basically that. Like, it also helps that it does help build up the younger team players, but I also think why wouldn't we keep Georgie Prasparkas, Michaela Bowen, Ashley Maloney out there for as long as we possibly can, because they're going to beat 90% of the other players on that field. And we saw it on the weekend. So I think it's just, let's keep our superstars out there for as long as possible and let them do their work. And I don't think they'll mind that at all.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Any health concerns?
Well, there could be. I guess it's an acknowledgement as well that, like, it's such a short season. Like, you know, you don't necessarily like so many things I think would be done. So many choices, little tiny choices you wouldn't even think about would be made based on how the game of AFL has been run for the last, you know, probably the modern era, like last 20, 25 years. And so, you know, you can imagine people having these things when the AFLW was created. You can imagine them bringing in things, and then like it might take time for them to actually go, oh, hang on, it's different in this area, which means we actually don't need to do that the way it's been done over there. Like, it doesn't necessarily suit that. And I think too, with, as we talked about before, like, they play such short games and they don't stop the clock. Like, some of the times this year where the clock's kept running and we've just burnt through like 5 minutes waiting for someone to like limp off the ground. So with that in mind, like how short the actual playing time ends up being, that also lowers the risk of injury, as I said. But also, I think it sort of it can be much more damaging if your star players get caught on the bench the way they can. You know, if you've got a player on the bench and you're unable to find time, you can run out of time so much quicker. So I think there's a lot going into it, and it kind of, now that they're doing it, you go, this feels like a no-brainer, and it kind of goes, maybe I need to look at other clubs, and maybe other clubs do this more often. But to me, it feels like this is just an acknowledgement of all these little subtle differences here that add up to not necessarily having to do the percentage on ground the way that we have in previous seasons.
That's a really good point, and I'm glad that I brought that point up. I hadn't even crossed my mind that could be. You know, I think that's a great point. In fact, that shorter games and just the point about your best players being stuck on the sideline. I hadn't considered that, and I think it's a great point. And I suppose particularly when you can rest Nina Morrison up forward, you know, you're actually gaining something. You know, yes, she's gaining a break, but you're also gaining Nina Morrison in your forward 50, or you're gaining Georgie Prasparkas in your forward 50. So no, I think that's all really worthwhile. Yeah, thought exercise there. The running clock is insane sometimes. It really does bug me. But anyway, that we'll talk about that in the off season or something. We can have a gripes podcast. Chaps, I want to actually jump into our votes here, unless you've got something else that's absolutely burning, you know, sort of to get off your chest, because we do have the Patreon segment to sort of unload from the notebook, and I always feel like we run out of time to talk about our votes players. So let's take the 10 minutes here to talk votes. I went 1 to Julia Crockett-Grills, I went 2 to Michaela Bowen, and I went 3 to Georgie Prasparkas. And there were about 5 or 6 players who would be unlucky not to have got a vote. So that's how I went with mine. What about you, Johnny?
I went 1, Ashleen Maloney, 2, Jackie Parry, and 3, Georgie Prasparkas.
Yeah, we're
Sambo?
all in the same ballpark, but slightly different. So I went 1 to Julia Crocker-Grills, 2 to Jackie Parry, and 3 to Georgie Prasparkas. The new obvious choice.
Yeah.
Can we
Pretty
let's talk about, like, she's insane. There was a moment down in the back 50, and I think it led to Geelong's goal just before. I think it was just before half time, where Prasparkas gets the ball in traffic in the back 50, shrugs her way through 3 players, gives a hand pass on, gets the hand pass back, runs essentially the distance of the center square, including a moment where she totally fakes someone out of their boots, cuts back inside, delivers a kick. I think, was that the one to Maloney?
Yeah, out in front of
Was
Maloney.
it the one to Maloney?
Yeah.
And then Maloney got it to Parry, and Parry kicked the goal because Jackie Parry kicks the goal just before. At least that's how I remember it. But, like, it was just an outrageous piece of play. Like, she is inarguably one of the best 5 players in the comp, you would think.
As you guys would say these days. She.
Nice. Yes, queen.
Yeah, like, it's hard to
That's a t-shirt.
put into words what an actually incredible player she has become in such a short time. So it's as I was saying earlier, it's like you're see these young players coming through the system and really bursting on and having a big impact. But I don't think many of them having bigger impact than Georgie Prasparkas. And I was thinking of it today and yesterday. I was like, I feel like she's taken the first 3 weeks personally and told herself she is the best player in the league and she's got to play like the best player in the league. And the last 2 weeks, she has just played like she is the best player in the league. And she's just been incredible. Like, yeah, she just looks so focused and determined to get that ball and to run and deliver it to a player inside 50. And I remember there was another one where she kicked inside 50 in front of Fowler, and it was just that little bit too long. And the camera panned back to her, and I remember thinking, geez, she looks really pissed off there. And I reckon she was really annoyed at herself that she didn't get that kick perfect to Fowler. And then, as you described it was that second kick inside 50 where she basically got it perfect to Maloney. It's like, yeah, she learns, she gets the game, she gets how to kick the ball, and yeah, she's just incredible. Absolutely incredible to watch.
Sambo, any thoughts on Prasparkas?
Yeah, I mean, obviously feel the same way you guys do. I think she's one of those players that, like, she probably came onto the scene as a bit of a natural and probably could have coasted along pretty well just on her natural sort of talent, her natural athleticism, her natural competitive spirit. But I think she's, as John said, she's a bit of seems to be a bit of a perfectionist. Seems to be pretty determined to improve herself. So she's just continually added dimension. Like, that's what always shocks me, is that you expect her to be good, but each season she seems to blow out your expectations even further. That she wouldn't necessarily have to. She'd probably still be one of the best players on our team if she just kind of rested on her laurels and played that sort of the way she did when she started, which was perfectly, she was still a really good, just natural player. But I think her football smarts have come along so far. I think her vision has improved. Her strengths improved, like her ability to stand her ground, to shrug off a tackle or lay a tackle as well. But as far as her footy smarts, probably the thing that I find the most impressive is how often she makes the right call now. Like you said, when she doesn't, she's the first one to sort of, smack her hands and then try and be better next time. But more often than not, she can do impressive things. She can turn out of a tackle. She can do a don't argue. She can fake someone out like she did. but she doesn't ever seem to do it when she shouldn't. She knows exactly when it's not showing off, it's using it to be effective. It's an actual tool in the tool belt as opposed to just sort of decoration on her footballing game. So yeah, I think her ability to choose when, where, and how and why is sort of probably one of the best on the team, if not in the league.
She's averaging this season, for anyone who doesn't know, 28.8 disposals per game. She's averaging 4.8 tackles per game. She's averaging 8.2 clearances per game. So she is on absolute fire. And remembering, she's doing all this in a much shorter time span in terms of the game time. She's averaging those touches and clearances in. So no, absolute star. And I agree with what you guys have hit on, like the perfectionist part of her game. It's obvious that she is a player that, Geelong need to continue trying to win for, because she is the sort of player who, if you stagnate, I think she knows how good she can be, and she knows she wants to win flags, plural, when it's all said and done. So these are the things that drive list management, is having players like that who are ruthlessly competitive, who are like, hey, we're either trying to win flags or I'm out, sort of thing. I think that to me seems like her attitude, and I hope it is, because I think that's what will drive Geelong to continue to try and get to the top of the Christmas tree. We've only got like 5 minutes here, chaps. So maybe we'll just pick some players. Neither of you gave a vote to Bowen, did you?
No, she was the next player for me, essentially.
Well, I'll just give a quick
perfect.
chat about Michaela Bowen. Exactly.
Jake
I'll
Bowen,
talk Bowen.
Sam, Parry, me, Maloney.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll give you a quick hitter, then I'll give you a quick 2-for-1, because I've got thoughts on Julia Crockett-Grills too. Michaela Bowen, I just wanted to give a vote to, 2 votes to, because one, I think she's taken on some of that sort of ball winning pressure for the Cats. It's taken a bit of the weight off the shoulders of players like Amy McDonald and Nina Morrison. The fact that you can have Prasparkas get 31, Michaela Bowen get 28. Her work rate is absolutely insane. She grabbed 4 marks, 6 tackles, 2 goal assists. Absolutely loved her game for the Cats. And my 1 vote to Julia Crockett-Grills. She was a player, I remember saying to you, chaps, a couple of seasons ago, not sure if she'll be on our list when we win that first flag. Don't know if she might be one of those inaugural Cats who eventually is overtaken by newer, younger players as they come in. Couldn't have been more wrong. Delighted to be so wrong. She's just totally reinvented herself. Like, I think she at one point in time was probably renowned as like a hard pressure player. It's like we still get that. She still lays 7 tackles. But the way she uses the ball and the way she gets involved on the scoreboard, 2 goal assists and 2 goals won herself. Her work rate, forward and back, absolutely outstanding. So I couldn't be more rapt for Julia Crockett-Grills. I think she's got 5 goals in 5 games this season, off the top of my head. So pretty amazing. Sambo, your thoughts on Parry, and then Johnny on Maloney.
Yeah, and I had JCG in mind as well, and I like, the only thing I'd add to yours, which is obviously implicit in what you were saying, but I think she actually has maybe the best goal sense of anyone on our team. She's obviously not the biggest goal kicker, but if you had to pick somebody on the team to pick it up in a tight space with their shoulder to the goals, she's the one who I would back to like have a crack and know where. She seems to really be able to sniff it out. Which is, it's kind of a bit of a revelation, like, to discover that. And so it's nice to see her carry that on. Parry, I just think
she reminds me of Paul Chapman.
Yeah, yeah, true.
That's the role she plays for me.
Yeah. I loved her no nonsense approach to that goal she kicked on the goal line, where she just kind of just walked away, done, dusted.
Yep.
Parry to me is maybe not the highest disposal getter, not the highest in many stats, but she is the word that comes to mind for me with Parry is damaging. Like, I just think whether she's roamed up the ground and she's picked it up. She's taken a bit of a mark down there and set it up. I feel like her next disposal, that kick, the field kick, is always a really smart, damaging one. When she's up in the forward 50, she's just so damaged. Like you can see she demands attention from the opposition. I think she's feeling super confident. I think she's playing career best football, and she just looks really confident in her skin. I think the way she's clunking marks, game high, I think, wasn't it 9? Yeah, 9 marks. 17 disposals, pretty good for a for a forward. And obviously the two goals as well. Yeah, I just think she looks like she can do no wrong when she's going up for a mark. You have so much faith that she's going to clunk it. And yeah, in a situation now where we're starting to improve around the field, we're starting to improve our movement, our structure, our delivery inside 50. I think she's the one to me that looks the most like Aisling Maloney. Obviously, is a freak, and we'll get to John's feelings on her. But the Parry at the moment to me is the one that's the most likely to cause game-winning damage most often. So I think Maloney will float up and kick 4 in a game. I don't think Parry's necessarily going to be kicking 4 or 5 in a game, but I think more often than not, Parry is going to be the one that kicks those 2 or 3 crucial kind of just get it done goals. I think it's kind of she's the sort of fulcrum, the pivot point for the forward line, in my opinion.
So glad that we got her from Melbourne. What a great pickup she's been. Aisling Maloney. I just thought this was by far one of her more intelligent, smart, knowing the game, knowing the situation, knowing your opponent, knowing your teammates' games Aisling Maloney's played. And it was just freakish to watch her, as I said, that kick to Kilpatrick. So I had a chance to bomb it inside 50, didn't do it, saw Kilpatrick, laced it out perfectly. And then that running goal to Parry after she dragged 2 Richmond defenders away from Parry, and then you knew exactly where Parry was with the handball, barely able to see her. It's just, she is becoming another she for the Cats. She is just crazy good. It's crazy to think that she's just picked up this game so easily and is making opponents into her little puppets, and she's getting them to do what she wants them to do, and then tricks them by doing exact opposite of what they think she's going to do, and just bringing teammates into the game as well. She just brings everyone in that forward line into the game and makes Parry play like she's been playing, full of confidence and clunking marks that other games she may not have clunked, and giving goals to first gamers. And I feel like she's really that big linchpin of that forward line, being able to just make everyone play better around her. And glad she's playing for the Cats, and incredible player. What a freakish player she is.
Yeah. No, she's amazing. And now up to 39 goals in 29 games at the Cats. She kicked 10 goals, 15 in her debut season. She kicked 21 goals, 11 last year. She's up to 8 goals, 7 this season after 5 games. Jackie Parry is actually, I was just having a look, she's averaging a career high 1.4 goals per game, a career high 5.4 marks per game. So pretty nice combo there. If this team ever got Chloe Shear back, you just wonder what that forward line could look like, with a third sort of prong to the assault. It would be pretty amazing. So that is the AFLW recap done and dusted. We might have some more thoughts on that in the Patreon part of the show. We'll definitely preview their round 6 clash with Port Adelaide. But now we move on from the AFLW recap to an AFL men's preview and just our early thoughts here, chaps, because on the weekend, the deal was done the opponents were locked in for the prelim finals. And on 5:15 p.m. on Saturday, it'll be Brisbane and Collingwood. But before that, 7:40 p.m. Friday night at the MCG. As we record, it's 3 days, 22 hours and 54 minutes away. Geelong and Hawthorn to go head to head in a final because the Hawks dismantled the Adelaide Crows over at Adelaide Oval. 14-17, 101 to 10-7, 67. They got the job done. Now, we've played the Hawks once already this season. We triumphed 86-79 over the Hawks in an Easter Monday nail-biter that was sealed with a Sean Manor goal. How are you feeling, chaps? What are your thoughts here? I watched the full game, the Crows and Hawks game. Where are you boys at with this one?
I was feeling fine until about 5 seconds ago. Now I'm nervous as anything, but super excited. Can't wait. Really looking forward to this one. I'll stand by what I said last week. I still think we're the best team in it. I think we'll get the job done, full of confidence. I know the Cats are extremely professional when it comes to this time of year. They're not going to let any outside noise distract them. They're not going to let the scum distract them. They're not going to let other teams distract them. They're going to be focused in on that night. And yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute epic game. But I'm confident that we've got the experience, the skills, the players to deliver us a nice victory. But I'm so nervous, but so excited at the same time.
It's a double-edged sword, I feel like, at this time of year. You obviously want your team to keep winning and get deeper and deeper into the finals. But it's like with every level you go up, the closer you get to it, like the harder it is to put out of your mind the not getting it sort of thing. Like I remember, going into the finals campaign, I'm like, what a success the season's been. And I still do feel that way. But you win the qualifying final, so handily, and you're like, holy crap, 2 wins and it's ours again, the whole thing. And I remember sitting there with you chaps back in October of 2022 being like, don't need any more. It's all good. We've done it all. There's nothing more, nothing left to conquer. And yet I sit here 3 years later going, I want another one. Sambo, how are you feeling about the prelim?
Yeah, good. Great. I think I'll be nervous when game day rocks around. But it's a dream setup for me. I didn't really have any interest in playing the Crows, to be honest. I felt like the Crows were choking. I tipped against the Crows. I felt like the Crows had dropped the bundle. I really did. I thought Rankin being out was, as much as they want to blame that, I do think it was a big factor. And I felt all year, sort of all year, that I doubted they had the legs, I suppose. Brisbane to
Frauds.
me, they can take their blow up trophy and go home. I felt like, I didn't really have any interest. Had we beaten them and got through the grand final, I didn't feel like it was any kind of tick for us, to be honest. I know I told you guys last time before the final that the Brisbane game was a big tick for me. This was beautiful. This is the team that I was most sort of apprehensive about playing from the 8, and we got to play them first up, have a swing at them, and a swing we did. And Collingwood and Hawks are the next 2 for me. Adelaide would have just been like, we would have beaten them, and I would go, okay, I don't really know what that means. This to me is another test. Hawks are in great, Nick. They're high on confidence, so we're gonna get them at their very best. But people love to talk about our run at the end of the year, all this sort of stuff. When we beat the Hawks, they were the form team of the comp earlier in the year. So we have beaten the Hawks, not necessarily super recently, but it was when they were flying. That was an against the grain win for us at that time. And I feel like, again, if we beat the Hawks, it's another tick in the column for me for this group that's, had finals experience, but a lot of them haven't had a lot of finals experience. And this is going to be possibly a next level kind of atmosphere. with the history and everything involved. So I'm super excited. I couldn't ask for any more, to be honest. I wanted after Brisbane, I wanted Pies and Hawks, and it looks like we'll probably get them, or we'll get Brisbane again.
Yep. Bring it on.
I've got to say, and obviously we're early in the week. We're recording this on a Monday, so we're not going to talk really about selection. There was a bit of talk I saw in the Hoops Crew Discord chat about who will be the sub, and someone offered, well, I think Stanley's going to come back in, which is still a possibility, in which case I think Jack Bowes will be the sub, which I could see, and that could be really logical, but that's probably worth talking about later in the week. Paul will talk about that on his show, I think on a Thursday night. But I wanted to offer something a little bit different, chaps, and I might be the odd man out. I don't know. But I need to make a personal announcement on this. And it came to me over the weekend, having watched this game. This is a big thing in our show, because for me, this has been a big part of our show has been built around this. And that is for me personally, and you chaps don't have to, but I'm officially retiring my use of the scum.
Whoa.
Because I've got to say, on Friday night, I watched and I barracked for Hawthorn to beat the Crows. And I very much enjoyed watching that team play football.
Get the fuck out.
I did, John.
Leave.
I did. And I have done lots of reflection on this. And I'm moving on from this for me. I'm moving on. And I said this in the Discord, and I got a similar reaction to what John's just had. I don't
We fear change.
I don't have bitter feelings about them anymore. And if they beat us on the weekend, barring someone acting like an absolute Cam Rayner, I will totally respect what they've done, because I remember early last season when everyone was talking, including myself, about how they're tanking. They were 0-5 or 0-6, and it was they're tanking. And Sam Mitchell, to his credit, was like, no, we're not. And they went on a run and won finals. And then they've done it again, but better this year. And they've gone on the road and won 2 games that were very difficult, particularly the Giants game. I think they play footy in a good way. I'll say that. I respect the brand of their football. I thought they were ferocious. I thought they were fearless. And I'm really welcoming the game. I think Sambo's hit the nail on the head in terms of it's a fantastic opportunity for the Cats to acid test our game again. And yeah, I'm choosing, chaps, to let that bitterness go for me. So I'm from my lexicon, the scum is gone. They will forevermore for me, until given a reason not to. They are Hawthorn, the Hawks. There you go. That's how I feel. And John, if it's Hawthorn Brisbane, I'm going to go for the Hawks. If it's Hawks v Lions in the grand final, I'll go for the Hawks.
You're a bigger man, and I'm not coming along with you because fuck them.
I mean, Jake and I have spoken briefly. I didn't know you were retiring the scum. I don't know if I'll retire the scum, because to me, and I've said this previously, probably last season, it's all WWE for me. It's all a bit of theater. I don't mind the Hawks being the scum. I will say it's slightly more of an affectionate term than it used to be. I wouldn't say it's an affectionate term, but it has more affection in it.
But it's more affectionate.
But I will say where I am with you completely is I was barracking for them against the Crows. The Crows are the new scum for me. Like, I know they don't really have any history with the Cats, but everything that's happened recently for them, the way they've carried themselves and gone about everything post Rankin and all that sort of stuff. I just lost a lot of respect for them. Brisbane, I can't handle. The shocking thing for me is you go back 5 years plus, my least favorite teams, Collingwood and Hawthorn. Now, I wouldn't say they're like, I don't have next favorite teams, but they're not teams that I hold any kind of like, I can't stand to see them lift the cup, or like, I don't know. Like, I mean, again, come Friday night, will I be will I be in?
I'm not going to be
will I
glad
be-
to see them win if they win.
and will there be any sense of decorum and respect towards
Definitely not.
the scum in my lounge room? No, absolutely not. But were they to win, yeah, I don't think, again, like you said, unless there's some kind of big thing that happens, any sort of controversy or anything, like I don't have a lot of love for Sam Mitchell, but yeah, the Hawks, I don't really hold any kind of strong animosity against them. That being said, if I do think about the 2008 too much, I probably will cry. Still,
Yes,
the trauma is still real.
It is difficult to paint them with the same brush as we do previous Hawks sides. As Sam said, but the scum is. Like, I still don't like them. They're still one of my least favourite teams, but there are a few players on the list. I go, yeah, I'm glad they're still playing football and they're playing good football, like Marbury Charles. I think what he's been able to do.
Jack Gunston,
away from
what a fucking season!
Yeah, Marbury Charles away from Damien Hardwick. I feel like he's giving Damien Hardwick the biggest middle finger in history, and I'm here. I'm really enjoying it. I think he's proved he is a good player, and but yeah, there's players I do like on their list, but as a whole club, I dislike them a lot. But as Sam said, like the way Adelaide handled everything, Parliament got them below the Hawks than any other team because of the way they just, basically ignored the treatment that the fans put towards Quainer. Like, it was just terrible. But yeah, as I said, like I still dislike the Hawks a lot. But there's players on the list that I go, yeah, they're good players. I enjoy watching some of their players play the game because they played the game well. And as AFL fans, that's what we want. We want to see players playing the game really well. And as much as I don't like to say it, but the Hawks do have players that play that game, play the AFL the way it should be played.
So here's the brass tacks of it. If Geelong have to go out of the other three teams, rank them in your most preferred to least preferred to win it.
Collingwood, Hawthorn, Brisbane, for me.
Oh, it's a tough one. Collingwood would be first. And it's a toss-up between the Scum and Brisbane, honestly.
Yeah, for me, Brisbane are dead last for me. Collingwood would have been clear first, but I have to say, Cox has pissed me off in his podcast appearance where he went after the Cats. So I honestly,
what did he say? What did he say?
He had some digs about farms, giving people farms and all that kind of stuff. And he seemed a bit salty about that. And then he went after the tagging, said it's boring and bad for the game, and basically doesn't make for good football. And nobody wants to turn up and see tagging, and he hates it and hopes it isn't.
Has he looked at his own football?
Go back to America, you fuckwit.
Yeah, he really annoyed me. So the reason because I was going to put Colin, and I was like, honestly, Hawks might be above Pies for me now.
Jesus.
Like, again, just because of current
John's
history.
well's crumbling.
It is. What did you do?
This is like
become woke.
This is like his parents.
His parents
getting divorced.
I'll just say this. I'll say this too. My big realization, chaps, this season. This is if we were to do a cultural learnings from 2025 footy season. One of mine has been they're all pretty much the same. All 18 clubs, including our own. We can sit here and talk about the Geelong way and being a good Geelong person and being Geelong. I really look at it and go, you put yourselves in the shoes of any other club. They view us exactly the way we view them. We look at, say, Collingwood, and we go, oh, Braden Maynard, what a thug down back. That's exactly how Richmond fans and many other fans look at Geelong and Tom Stewart. We look at Hawthorn and go, Ginnivan, what a flog. That's how a lot of teams go, Geelong and Bailey Smith. What a flog.
Mm.
Like, I don't want to deprive myself of, and what I've done for a long time is deprive myself of watching other teams play good footy because I go, oh, I hate them. And it was a reminder on the weekend of like, man, when footy's played well, it's such a good game. And I thought it was such a stark contrast between Hawthorn and the Crows, because the Crows couldn't have been any more in their fears. And I just thought, credit to Hawks. And I guess the other takeaway I had is I have a lot of respect for the teams that have been up and about for a long time. And I know the Hawks had their years bobbing down, but not as badly as other clubs have. But if you look at the 4 teams that remain, like, what is it, 14 flags out of the 21st century. And then you think about a club like Sydney, if you chuck them in, they've got 2 and they've been eternally successful. Like, I loved the fact that Geelong had the practice match scrimmage with Collingwood organised. I like that sort of iron sharpens iron, you get better and we get better mentality, because I think that's big club mentality, that they work together. You're not being protective of your turf. And I actually love that I read this after the fact that Sam Mitchell copped some shit about him trying to, he met, I think, was it with Zach Merritt, Essendon's captain, and was trying to lure Merritt away. And he basically, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, I'll always try and make our list better. I thought personally, fair play. I look around at clubs and like St Kilda splashing the cash. Do it. Do whatever you have to do to try and improve your list, because that is the name of the game in 2025.
I don't really understand the hoorah around Mitchell going to talking to players. I think that's like every coach is going to be going around talking to opposition players.
100%.
I can see why Essendon and the media's blowing up about Merritt, because he's been a bit shit what he's done to his club. But also don't just drag both parties into that, because it's AFL. It's going to happen. Like, and I think it shows more on what Essendon as a club is like. If their captain is wanting out from a big deal and is not going to the best and fairest, it's like, maybe you should look at yourselves as a club before you say this player's been shit. It's like, look at yourself, look inward before you blame one guy for exploring his options and going, I want some success and not being in this crappy team that doesn't respect me.
I think this is a big thing. Like, I talked about it on my other podcast the other day, or a few weeks ago, when Tom de Koning signed with the Saints. I said, imagine telling someone in 2020, say 2000, that the Saints have just poached Carlton, one of Carlton's, say 5 best players. Like, the difference in those 2 teams now, like, we live in a funny world where now St Kilda are poaching other people's lists. And I think that you adapt or die, to quote Moneyball. And I think this is the Saints. The Saints may not be able to offer the lifestyle type thing that Geelong can. They may not be able to offer the mystique of playing for a big club like what Collingwood is, for instance. But the Saints know they have money to spend in their salary cap. So by any means necessary, improve your list. So I respect what they do. Whether it'll work for them, I don't know. But to sit on your hands and be like, well, we'll just build through the draft and we'll, spend frugally. It's like, do something. Try and sell tickets. Try and get more memberships. Try and get an immediately successful season. And try and keep players like Nozea Wanganeen-Miller. Anyway, this is a Cats podcast, but I like these chats with you, chaps. We're going to go on to Patreon now. We're going to talk, maybe we'll keep talking about some of this stuff. We'll preview the AFLW round 6 match against the Power. We will be back next Tuesday, hopefully talking about Geelong trotting off to another grand final. We will see.
Belting the
We'll see if
scum.
I'm back on the scum wagon.
Yeah.
It's time
And until
to
next time,
empty this trash of the scum.
Go Cats.
go Cats.
Go, Cats!